Benjamin, Dubai. How's the weather in Dubai today?
Quite hot, but
Oh, so sorry about that. Okay, anybody, if you don't come up, I'm going to call names. So, do we have any other person that wants to tell us where
Sorry,
they're joining us
can you
from?
hear
How is
me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, my name is Noah. I'm joining from Abuja.
Thank you for joining, Noah. So glad to see you again. Thank
Yo.
you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
one last person before we move on. Sally, do you mind telling us where you're joining us from? And are you excited for today's session? Sally, are you here? Okay. Oh yeah, Sally's joining us from Abuja and she's very excited for this session. Okay, so now, okay. Hi, Dolika, joining from Lusaka. Hi, Deji. I can see your comments. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Sally. I'm also excited. I'm sure everybody here is excited as well. Okay, so we're going to be moving on and getting straight into the flesh of it, the meat of the matter. So, welcome to Grow. I'm going to be doing a short introduction of what Grow is because I know we have first-time attendees here, so I'll be telling you all about Grow. Welcome, Grow. Okay, before we get there, I'm your moderator. My name is Mobo Noviator there. I'm one of the Grow community members and also one of the organizers of Grow. I'm very passionate about women's matters and because I currently work in corporate, I'm an IT admin. And so, yeah, I'm very interested in this topic because I also hope one day that I can grow in the career ladder or the corporate ladder. Yeah. So before we get to the matter, I have a question for everybody. Who is one woman in your life or in the public eye who has inspired your career or leadership journey and why? I'll be answering as well. So I want you guys to go first. So does anybody have, well, everybody has one. I'm sure we all have women who inspire us. So just tell me one woman in your life who, or in the public eye, right, who has inspired your career or leadership journey and why? So anybody wants to go? I'm waiting.
Sorry, are guys allowed to talk? Are we allowed to answer this question?
Of course you're allowed. That's why you're here. Go on.
Okay. Okay. I think one woman that has, inspired me. I mean, there are a lot, but one that I can pick up from will be Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala. I mean, her ability to, rise up to an international job like that, international position, pardon me, like that is really inspiring. Something I really like to follow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Noah, for that answer. That's really wonderful. I'm also very deeply inspired by Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as well. Actually, when I was growing up, she was one of the women I looked up to because she's just been center stage in my life growing up, and she's been doing wonderful things. So thank you for that. Any other takers in the house? Tell us one woman in your life or in the public eye who has inspired your career or leadership journey, and tell us why. Hurry up, people. We don't have all day. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to be calling names. Chris, can you tell us one woman who has inspired you? Okay, Chris says he's unavailable. So I'll be speaking to Sally. Sally, can you please tell us one woman? Okay, I'll go. Like this, like the question says, what woman in your life? Okay, you guys, I don't know if you can see the comments, but Jibril says he's primary 2 teacher, Mrs. Let me check. Yeah, Mrs. Uja. Is that how it's pronounced? So sorry, Mrs. Uja. So Jibril, you don't have to speak. Just tell us why this woman was inspiring to you, because you were in primary 2 and you were quite young. So she had to have made a very notable impact in your life, right? So tell us why you still remember this woman after all these years that you've left primary 2, if you don't mind, of course. Oh, so I don't know if you guys can see the income messages, but Jibril says he's inspired by this woman because she made him believe that he could be anything or whatever he wanted to be in life. And I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. She allowed him to become a dreamer, and she said to him, it's okay to dream. That's superb. Thank you so much, Jibril, for that. And looking here, KD Adekunle says, for me, Aisha Yusufu, nice one, an activist who became a global symbol of resilience during Bring Back Our Girls campaign and the 2020 NSAS protest. So if we all know Aisha Yusufu, can we raise our hands? Hands up if you know Aisha Yusufu. I mean, yeah, thank you. So she's a very wonderful woman. She's an activist. She inspires me every day. And she makes me want to be a better Nigerian, to do more activism for Nigerians and not just take the sit at the back and let other people do the work. She makes me want to come to the front, demand for our rights and, fight injustice. So that's my woman as well. And then we have Lillian here. Lillian says her mom inspires her. Lillian, thank you so much for that. My mom is also one of my biggest inspirations in life. Thank you, Sally, for that. Your mom as well. And Ugo says Yetunde Erobobo and Dr. Imabasi. Thank you so much, Ugo, for this answer. Thank you for your interactiveness in this session. Okay, so we'll be moving on from here because we've spent 10 minutes already. Okay, so moving on. So as we all know, tonight's meeting is a very important one, not just for women, for men as well, for you to understand the challenges women go through in the workspace, in their careers, so you can try and become a better person generally, treat women better, understand that even though everything we seem to be a modern society, women still face certain challenges just because they're women. So because of this, I'm imploring you guys to please take notes, because our speakers are going to be dropping nuggets, super important points that we need to take away from today, not just hear it one time and forget about it. We need to understand them, right? So please take notes. I'll be asking you, at the end of the session, I'll ask you what did you take down from this session, because it's very important. Thank you, guys. Okay, so now let's move on to GROW. So GROW stands for Great Resources and Opportunities for Work. It's an online platform that helps to foster and develop the employability skills and competence levels of young graduates in Nigeria. With GROW, we aim to address the lack of career advice, the lack of pathways available for new graduates entering into the Nigerian labor market, and for young budding entrepreneurs. So GROW prepares Nigerian youths to navigate this future. We want to equip people with resources and transferable skills that will help them build resilience and an enterprising spirit to forge new opportunities for themselves. So please, if you're not familiar with GROW, I implore you to go to the GROW website right now. It is at growplatform.biz, so you can get all the hot gist about what GROW is about. Okay, please do that. Moving on, so like I said, at GROW, we provide relevant information, career guidance, tips that inspire young people to develop their potentials. So we have unique insights in the labor market. We have insights what graduates should do, where they should go, and what their motivations are to guide and inspire their career choices throughout their journey through school and also post-graduation from university. Yeah, that's what GROW is about. I hope we're able to get new people joining us for the first time here as community members as well. So here at GROW, we have a WhatsApp community where we share these resources. Apart from the website, we also encourage people. We have games nights, we have study sessions, we have CV review sessions where we help anyone who needs our help. So a colleague will be posting the Grow WhatsApp community link. So please join the community if you're not there already. That's where everything is happening right now, trust me. So moving on to the theme of today's virtual event. Like I'd mentioned earlier, the topic is the glass ceiling, conversations with women in careers, leadership, and business in Nigeria. And you will see all our speakers are well experienced in a lot of different fields, right? So you're going to be learning from people who are from diverse backgrounds. The goal of today's meeting is to help the Grow community members understand the real dynamics of gender in Nigerian careers and business, not just through theory, but from lived, honest experiences of women who have navigated and broken barriers in each individual field that they're from. So why this conversation matters is that 83% of Nigerian women identify as entrepreneurs versus the 51% regional average. So the region is Africa. So in Nigeria, most Nigerian women basically identify as entrepreneurs, not corporate workers. I wonder why that is. And also 23 million female micro entrepreneurs operate across Nigeria. That's a huge number. And 48.4% of Nigeria's total labor force are women. That's a good number if you ask me. And finally, 30% of tech professionals in sub-Saharan Africa are women. So women make up a huge chunk of the African workforce and the entrepreneurial space as well. So we want to address certain challenges, honestly. So that includes gender bias, double standards in the Nigerian workplace, limited access to funding for female entrepreneurs, underrepresentation in senior leadership and boardrooms, and finally, balancing family expectations with professional ambitions. So, saying that, I want to introduce everybody to our panel members. First up, we have Dr. Abigail Kusimo. She's a lead researcher at Aravista Consult. Dr. Abigail is a development research and evaluation specialist with over a decade of experience designing and leading mixed method research, program evaluations, and evidence generation initiatives across Nigeria's development and public sectors. At her current place of work, she leads research and evaluation projects that combine qualitative and quantitative data to support informed decision making. She's an advocate for people with disabilities. She's an advocate for gender inclusion and workforce participation. She's also an advocate for social development and producing evidence-based insights that guide policy. Dr. Abigail has worked with organizations including FIT Africa, the RID movement, and TechHa Nigeria. She's also worked with numerous government agencies. Beyond consulting, she supports youth empowerment through a 5-a-side football initiative that provides opportunities for young people in underserved communities. So let's all say hi to Dr. Abigail. Say hi, Dr. Abigail. Come on, speak up.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Okay, good evening. Yeah, she's with us right now. Hi, Abigail. Please say hi to the people. We're so excited to meet you.
I am excited to meet everyone too. Thank you for the opportunity and the privilege to be sharing maybe more insights about women and genders growth, women's growth in Nigeria. Well done also for everything you're doing for women. So I would say thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail, for gracing us with your presence. We really appreciate you. All right, moving on to our next panelist. We have Abiola Adebi. She's a development consultant. So Abiola works at the intersection of public policy, governance, and development implementation, focusing on how institutions translate reform into measurable results. She's a development consultant and a transaction advisor, on development finance institution funded projects. So that's the DFI funded projects, including engagements supported by the World Bank and the Islamic Development Bank. She has experience across agro-industrialization, business enabling reforms, and digital public infrastructure. Beyond her policy work, she builds systems for social impact. She is the founder of Elevate Development Foundation, which has reached over 7,000 individuals. That's huge if you ask me. And leads CISI Africa, a network for Christian social innovators. She serves on the advisory board of Beehive School and hosts the Sit with the Truth podcast. Her work has earned her 25 Under 25 Visionary Leader Award and induction into the Nigeria Volunteers Award Hall of Fame. Wow. Hi, Abiola. Oh my God, that was a lot. Please say hi. We're so happy to meet you. Can you say hi to everybody here?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited about the conversation we're going to get into. Good evening, everyone.
Everybody say hi, Abiola. We're happy to see you. Thank you so much, Abiola, for that, for saying hi. We're excited to have you here. Once again, we want to say thank you for coming up here to share your thoughts with us. And next up, we have our final panelist for tonight. Her name is Miss Chalia Wiep. She's a creative director of 601 Events. So Miss Chalia is a skilled event planner and creative director of 601 Events. 601 Events is a brand known for excellence, precision, and memorable experiences. With over 9 years of experience and a strong eye for detail, she has successfully planned and executed over 300 events, including corporate and high-profile celebrations, earning a reputation for delivering with both style and professionalism. She's known for her ability to stay in control, even under pressure. Chalia brings structure, clarity, and a touch of elegance to every event she handles. She also shares her knowledge and experience with others, helping them understand what it takes to deliver quality work. For Chalia, it's not just about events, it's about creating smooth, well-organized, and truly outstanding experiences every time. Hi, Chalia. Thank you for joining us today. We'd like to say welcome, and we're very glad to have you. Please say hi to the house. We're excited to meet you.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. We're so excited to have you, and we can't wait to hear all the nuggets you have for us. Thank you so much. Okay, now that we've done all the introductions, we'll be moving on to an interactive Q&A session with the panel members. So before we move on to this stage, I want to say that for everybody listening here, you can please take down your questions. No, you can please take down your questions. Whatever questions you have for our panelists while they're speaking and answering their questions, please take them down because we will be treating them after this session, right? It's very important for us to understand each other and leave here with wisdom, new wisdom that we came with, right? So that being said, let's move on. Okay, so I'll be asking each of the panelists questions one after the other, so please listen attentively. So first up, we have Miss Dr. Abigail. I'm so sorry, Dr. Abigail. Hello, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Dr. Abigail, the first question we have for you today is that, or rather it goes this way. So you've built a remarkable career in research, evaluation, and development. And we all know that these spaces are not always easy to navigate as a woman, especially as a Nigerian woman. Looking back, what specific advantages and disadvantages have you experienced as a woman in your career? Also, what deliberate actions did you take to move forward despite the challenges? You have the
Thank
floor,
you
please.
so much for these questions. When I reflect on my journey, I think is important to be honest here about the advantages and the disadvantages of being a woman in this field. On one hand, being a woman has shaped my perspective in a very, very, powerful way. And it has made me more conscious to the issues of inclusion, social justice, equity, and people's reality behind data, numbers, or anything I'm working with now. Um, I think that's one of the important things about research. You get to work with people in real time and collect data and look at their real deep realities. But sometimes, working with individuals, you need to either have empathy. And as a woman, women are always filled with like emotions, sympathy, empathy, and that comes to play when working on field, like field work, especially when I'm dealing with um, the undeserved communities. Now, there have been moments where my voice have actually been overlooked. So I'm going to give you an example. I remember going for a program. Now, this was recently. I think this was last year. I was developing a curriculum for a university, and we were just two women there, and they were all professors, and I was the only doctor there. It's a university, so they need more of people in the academic field. And you know, well, and funny enough, it was not a man that said it, it was a lady that said it. She had gone to the vice chancellor to tell the vice chancellor, I do not look the part of I don't look the part of being someone that can take up this tax. Because obviously I try to look good everywhere I go. And she felt like, oh, me all dressed up coming for something like this is not supposed to be. And she reported me to the vice chancellor. And I think he told her that, this curriculum that people are going to look at, she's the person that developed 75% of it, and she could not see anything. So you see, and this is from a woman. Obviously, they had had conversations before, and they had to use her to go report me that I do not look the part. So I think that's one of the major challenges. They feel like as a woman, if you go into some spaces, you're supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to because you're not a certain type of, I don't want to use tribe, but there are some areas you go to that, oh, you don't understand ABCD, we can't let you come in, yeah? The disadvantages are very real. Sometimes I have to voice my opinion twice, especially when I'm the team leader. And then recently I've realized I'm always the team leader, so I'm trying to run away from that as well. Because I would have to sometimes just say, you know what, do whatever you want to do. Because at the end of the day, I'll be the one to take most of the work, which is not supposed to be so. But also, there is also a pressure to constantly prove that I'm good enough, especially in technical areas when like monitoring, evaluation, post-assessment, pre-assessment, data analysis. I have to prove myself every time. But what helped me to move forward was I was very deliberate at everything I've done. I invested deeply in building myself, in building what I'm doing, not just doing the work, but also understanding that, okay, the people I'm talking to, are we relating? It's a difference where it's just me communicating and people are following, but can I also listen to them and ensure that everyone around me, we are all working together? I don't see people as I won't say as my, I don't want to use the word subordinate, yeah, but something like that. I feel like all of us, we are on the same path. We are working together to get a real goal. Now, but sometimes I also sought out spaces and networks where my voice could grow. I know I've taken a lot of volunteering jobs. I've tried to speak out. I've tried to also go back to the drawing book. I still went back to school after my doctorate just to learn more about policy, public policy, anything that can keep me ahead of, because it's not easy for a woman to be sincere. So anything that can keep me ahead of my male counterparts, I always do that, especially following the new trend. Now that AI is in tools, my new step is AI in research. How the research tools are in AI, how can I use that to, you know, to improve my skills and my knowledge? Also, mentorship has also helped me, like both giving and receiving. So I currently also work with WMF. It's a women mentorship forum, and I think I've learned so much from them as well. I learned from the ladies there. I also mentor some ladies. So it's also over time I realized that you have to build this confidence. You have to dominate. It's not something you can just wait. It's not something that you just say, oh, see me. Don't be quiet in places. One thing I'm going to tell all ladies is that you should have audacity. You want to call audacity, wear it like your perfume. Wear that audacity, strap it on, like hug audacity. Go to places. People will not know you for being quiet. People will not know you for being, oh, okay, sir. Yes, sir. Challenge it. Ask why. Why can't we do it this way? Also bring bright solution. And also I realized that while doing it, actions, people are actually watching you. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. People are actually watching you. So I think what has helped me so far, apart from the disadvantage, I've had people telling me that, oh, are you not too young to come be our team lead? I remember one time someone told me that. So first of all, nobody had a this was the most hilarious thing I've read in a long time. The person goes, nobody has a doctorate in this company. We cannot call you doctor because they're all older than you. And I think there are more, like there's more men that the organization than women. I said I apologize. I thought that you wanted someone that could do the work, but you guys are looking at titles. But I was like, you know what? It's one thing I've learned about working as well. What is meant for you will not stress you. There is no easy job, right? But you will know a job that is you can actually thrive and grow. Don't settle for less when it comes to your job. Speak up. Also, build something through your action. You see that audacity I'm talking about? Also make it actionable. Let people see, let there be results, let there be reports, let people sing your praises. And if no one is singing your praise, you blow your trumpets. So yeah, I think that's all I have for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. And I don't know if you guys can see in the chat box, but some people have laid down some very important things Dr. Abigail just said. She says, as a woman, you should wear audacity like a perfume. Don't just take everything lying down. Stand up and fight for yourself, fight for your rights. She also said something just now, blow your own trumpet. Be proud of yourself. Before somebody else can tell you, I'm very proud of you, you should also say to yourself, I'm proud of myself. Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. That was wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to our next panelist, we have Abiola Adebi. Hi, Abiola, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, so the question we have for you today is, so we understand that your career sits at a fascinating intersection of public policy, development finance, and governance reform and social impact. And that is a bold and unconventional path, as well as far as I'm aware. So what benefits and disadvantages have you experienced as a woman navigating these spaces? And how have you responded when the environment was not designed with you in mind? So please, we're excited to hear your answer.
Okay, well, thank you very much once again. And I think similar to what Dr. Abigail started with, I would also echo the fact that audacity is a non-negotiable, especially as a woman. Just to provide some context, right? One of the projects I currently lead on the transaction advisory team, and it's quite a huge one for the country. I remember a meeting was called by the national office, and so they brought together all transaction advisory teams across various states, and see me here thinking, young me, and I'll be very sincere and direct with you all, right? Thinking I'm very excited about this meeting, looking forward to meet more people, connect, expand my network and whatnot. And so I arrive at the venue. It's a strategy session, people about to make decisions that would affect roughly 100 million people. And not only am I the youngest person in the room by far, I was roughly one of 7 women in a room of over 50 people. And that struck me in such a very, very, sad and marking way. Thinking that 100 million people's lives are about to be affected and there is barely any representation. And one thing I would say is, if you lack audacity in rooms like that, your voice would cower, literally. Your voice would go silent, because as we all know, in the kind of society that we're in, already as a young person, you're not exactly, the loudest voice in the room in many instances. And then add on that, you're a young woman speaking to a room of, men in their 50s, 60s, 65, and trying to get them to see what you see. I think that has really been a challenge of bravery for me, and making sure that my voice is heard. And it has actually, I guess, like it's an advantage or not, or its advantage, it has earned me the title of being a very strict woman, not just among clients, but also with my colleagues as well. Getting feedback that I'm unapproachable in some cases, or my standards are too high, or I think I've heard once someone say, "Oh, I'm like a man amongst men," And when you sit back and think about it, what they are really saying is, you're not behaving how a woman should behave. You're not you're not quiet, you are too authoritative, you are too good at your job. And so hearing those voices consistently and choosing to disregard them and do your job and let competence speak for you is a daily decision, right? That any woman that really wants to lead at very high and sensitive positions must make. I think an advantage that I would say has come with being in this position is being able to see through lenses that other people might not necessarily see. I remember looking through a report. I was to do a technical, review of an environmental and social safeguards reports. And one of the first things that came to my mind was that a lot of the stakeholders that had been interviewed by the consultant that did that work, an external consultant, a lot of stakeholders were men, and these men were to be compensated. And the first thing in my mind was, is this a men-only village? Where are the women here? I'm so sure that there are women in this community. And I thank God for the power, that position gave me, because I got to challenge that view. And they had to go back to redo that assessment, because you can't tell me there are no women in your village that should be compensated, right? So those are just some areas that it has really, really being a woman has, really been different for me. And then I think maybe just something else I would say as well is breaking into networks also. I remember going for a meeting once, and I was to represent my firm with about 2 other senior consultants, both men. And at the end of the meeting, one of the other parties came to me, who had a significant say in the project, by the way, came to me and made advances. These are not things that you might hear, outside, but I think if we're being real and honest, that happened, right? And I felt very, of course, felt very off about it. Spoke to my colleagues about it, and they agreed that it would be best that I stayed out of the office hangouts. They were to have a social that evening, speak a bit more on business, just in an informal way and whatnot. And I was cut out of that conversation completely because someone chose to see me for something beyond, the productive contributions I was making to the project. So I guess that's just it's a disadvantage, but I think I'm still grateful for the experiences so far and the fact that I get to bring a different perspective to conversations, policy decisions that can and do impact the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abiola, for such an insightful answer. We really appreciate it. You mentioned something that really stuck with me, and that kind of highlights the importance of women in male-dominated spaces. So you said you had a team, right, to do an assessment to include women in a village. I'm sure if I'm correct. And I don't know about every other person, but that's really important for me as to, or rather, that kind of proves why we need more women in leadership spaces, in decision-making rooms and places where decisions are made. We need more women there. So thank you so much, Abiola, for all you do. Okay, moving on to our next panelist, Chalia. Hi, Chalia, are you here with us?
Hello, yes, I am.
Okay, so Chalia, the question we have for you is, we know that you have built 601 events from the ground up. You've done over 300 events. You have 9 years of industry experience, and you've built a brand that is synonymous with excellence and precision. The question is, what has the journey of building this business as a Nigerian woman actually looked like? And what doors opened for you because you're a woman, and what walls did you have to push through?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Well, being a woman has definitely helped me in the industry. Specifically, as women, we truly pay attention to details and, build strong relationships with people. That has made it easier for me to connect with clients, most especially the brides. Most especially the brides. So the brides, we earn their trust, in many ways. And that emotional intelligence has opened doors for me. You talk to them, they're being very open, telling you what they're going through and all that. But at the same time, I've had to push through moments where, I wasn't taken seriously, or where people assume that, you couldn't handle this or you couldn't handle this magnitude of events. How? Handle some certain kind of things. And there were times I had to prove my capacity again and again. I had to stand firm with some decisions, make them believe that, against anything, we can handle this and we can push. And then, consistency spoke for me. I was just, really consistent, kept pushing, kept moving, kept delivering excellent work. Not minding whatever anybody says and all. Repeatedly, it helps me end respect, build a solid brand. And so, yeah, being a woman has opened some doors, but of course, I still have to push through. So, yes, I'll say that it has opened doors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chalia. I don't know if you guys got that, but she said something. She said, make sure to not listen to the naysayers. No matter what anybody said, she followed her dreams. She pursued her goals relentlessly. That's a huge, big advice, or very important advice to take home with you today. So once again, thank you so much, Chalia. Before we move on to the next set of questions, I'll be taking a few questions that are already in the chat bot for our panelists. So the first question from KB Adekunle says, she says this question is for Dr. Abigail, but any other panelist can answer. So it's an open question, right? So she wants you to share your viewpoint on women truly supporting women in this day reality without the theater of showing that we're doing or ticking boxes, without the fluff. Realistically speaking, where do Nigerian women in the corporate space and outside as well? So do Nigerian women in the corporate space support each other? So we'll take that first. What do you think about that, women supporting women? Anybody can answer the question. I mean, any of our panelists. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to go, then maybe I will also chip in. So since she directed the question to me, or at me rather. Now, to be sincere, this is a very real and layered question. And honestly, it gets to the heart of what many young women experience but struggle to understand. Now, let me tell you the truth. Saying women to just be confident in a system that is structurally unequal can feel some type of way. Like, confidence is not easy because you can be confident outside and you go inside and you start breaking. You understand? Like when the environment or something is designed to work against you, to question your competence, to silence your voice, or to reward non-entity over authenticity, or to just, it's a lot for women. Confidence alone is not enough. You need to have a community. You need to have strategy. And you need to be aware of your environment. You need to see that politics they are playing, you need to play it as well. Now, for young women, for younger women, or for people who do not understand navigating the system, the first thing is to watch people, whether it's corporate, whether it's academic, whether it's the social environment. Watch people and watch people that you want to be like and mirror them. Now, first of all, the first thing is, once you understand that it's the people's voices that are heard that get opportunities. These people's voices that are heard that their leaders are like, okay, this one can stay. People appreciate. And when you just keep quiet, when your confidence is broken, because there are some work environments that I think that they thrive on toxic. They just want to be toxic. I think that's what they love. They just love the suffering. How can you work around that? You have to look at somebody, even though it's to play the politics with the CEO, you will play it. Now, so try to ask questions that other people are afraid of in meetings. Also observe patterns, watch closely what people are doing. You see that person they call teacher's pet. I know when we were in school, we used to say teacher's pet. It's still done in the office organizations. Watch those people. When you see someone getting promoted, it's not how well they work in the office, it's who they know in the office and how they are listening to the person. It's a surprise that people that take coffees, people that do all these things, try to ask how about your day, try to play golf, play sports with those persons that they actually acknowledge. Finding a mentor inside that in the organization or in the society or in the social group or in the community will also put you ahead. So there are still other things I would want to talk on, but I think my other panelists should also have some comments on this question because it's a lot to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. We've noted down all you've said, and just to say, my boss says, she's totally in alignment with what you said, and I as well, I am in alignment. That was very wonderful and insightful from you. So moving on, we're going to do the next round of questions. Oh, before we do that, actually, do any of the other panelists, Abiola and Chalia, do you have any response to the question that was asked?
Yes. I was just going to echo what Dr. Abigail said. Gatekeeping is actually a real thing in organizations, right? And I'll give a practical example for me. I once worked with the public sector directly. And one of the things I actively did was to make sure that I gifted people on their birthdays. And then, the whole thing of eye service, it sounds disingenuous, but it's a real strategy. Just randomly going to a person's office, sitting and just gisting with them, just buying into people's share of mind, essentially. I think that's something that helped me, because the truth is, and I won't say not just even for women, even for men as well, but more so for women, your work would speak for itself. Visibility matters, right? And just to speak a bit on the aspect of women supporting women, I think the question was sharing our views on women truly supporting women. So my experience might be different, right? But then in certain instances, certain spaces I've been in, I actually faced more opposition from women than from men. And I find that quite, quite interesting, especially from older women in some instances. And I had to prove myself before I was let into their circle of, their safe circle. So that's just something else to keep in mind, not automatically expecting endorsements or being embraced just because you are a woman. There is still some level of proving yourself with competence and also visibility wise. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Abiola, for that. I'm sure, did we all get that? She said, when you're in a new space, sometimes you might even face more opposition from women than men, because, just because you're a woman doesn't mean other women will automatically jump in and offer you all the support in the world. But you have to prove yourself to them that, you know your onions and you're good at what you do. And yeah, I see that a lot. Thank you so much, Abiola, for that. So moving on, we're going to be taking the second round of questions to our panelists. So the first question is for Dr. Abigail. I hope you've had a glass of water.
Yes, I have had tea.
Hello. I dropped off for a bit. Okay. Sorry, give me a minute. All right. Dr. Abiola, your next question is, so we know that you're passionate about people with disabilities and your work speaks to that commitment. From your research and lived advocacy, what unique and often invisible challenges do women with disabilities face in building careers in Nigeria? And even generally in Nigeria, your researcher, what have you noticed, right, that women with disabilities face in this country, and what needs to change structurally and culturally to address this?
Thank you so much for that question. Now, when we talk about women with disability, let's just start from the beginning. First of all, you're a woman. You now have disability, and now in Nigeria, it's all over. So what we do here, the challenges are, there are a lot, and often very invisible. Women with disability are seriously marginalized. I was working, so I'm going to give you a live example. I worked with Tech NG, the Tech Nigeria, Tech Ha Nigeria, rather. There are NGOs that help with assisting women and other the queer communities and all other organizations, trying to just ensure social justice is for also the vulnerables and all that, and underdeserved community there. And I have the opportunity to speak to women living with disability, and they shared their reality with me. And things I heard from them actually broke my heart, because I realized that Nigeria is not a real place. The work, even those who are working, is not a real place. So there's one woman, she has 3 degrees. She has a BSc and 2 masters. But because she's on a wheelchair, she's been overlooked for promotion. And when she gets home, that's at work, she's overlooked for promotion, like maybe 12 years now. As at then, it was 12 years. And now When she gets back home, she gets pressure from the men saying that, oh, they want to, that she should be thanking them for even talking to her because she has no legs. Now imagine having to face that discrimination in the office. You come back to the society, you face that discrimination. So from my work and advocacy experience, I've seen that the barriers are not just physical, like inaccessible workspace or transportation, but they are also rooted deeply in the social and structural environment. The bias is about the capability, limited access to quality education and training, and very few role models in visible leadership positions. How many people with disability do we have come out apart from the MD or the Lasoda general manager? How many disabled personalities do we have that are activists? If you look at all those who are activists, they are able-bodied people actively advocating for disabled persons with disabled. Now, what makes it more difficult is that policy may exist, but we have an implementation problem. Implementation in inclusion, especially gender inclusion. Now I'm talking about this PWD women inclusion is so weak. So we need to find a way around that. And also we have there's a I don't know how to call it, but there's a gap, I want to say lacuna, but there's a gap between intention and reality. Now, everybody categorize disability as one being impaired. Maybe one kind of is was a wheelchair, one is in a wheelchair, one hands don't work. They see the physical disability, but there are people who are disabled but they look fine, like the autistic people. There are autistic people that are normal, but you can never know until you see them perform. Now, culturally, there is still a need to shift how the society perceives disability. Now, you look at from the lens of, let's say, limitations to potentials. People do not believe that anything good can come from anyone with challenges. But I keep telling people that it's just the body that is deformed. It's just the body that has a problem. Anyone, and it's important to notice that anyone can become disabled at any time. You could have, God forbid, accident. You could have maybe old age. You could have something minute and it will actually affect you, but it doesn't affect your brain. Do you get? Now, we also need to have structurally, we need to have more inclusive education system. I'm not even talking about the education itself. I'm talking about facilities now. I'm talking about the trained teachers, personnels. I'm talking about, you see, people that are actually saying that, oh, look at, if we compare the U.S. presidents, we had Roosevelt was on the wheelchair, he was disabled, but he ruled. We need to see people like that out. We need to see mentors who are breaking barriers, women as well, who are making change in Nigeria, and they can also look up to them in a structural way in the community and say, okay, we need more workplace accommodation. Imagine going to a ministry with 12 floors and none of the elevators are working. How can a disabled person work there? We also need to look at inclusion when we're hiring. We need to ensure that inclusion for persons with disabilities in organization, maybe they have an inclusive environment for them. Now, so I just don't want to say mentorship, hiring practices that don't just include women with disability, but also we need to have a sensitization drive, not just on educating, not just for schools alone. We need to actually retrain ourselves. We cannot there are things that we have learned, or our let's say our millennial or our parents would have learned that they cannot unlearn. But we need to tell them as well. But we now seeing this in real time. We need to say that how can we include women with disabilities? I know the other company in China, either China or Japan, one of the Asian countries, that most of them there are with Down syndrome, and they're autistic. So when you place an order, right, you don't get your order. So you can order for rice and they can bring steak for you for your own order. So it's just, and all of them, they are autistics and with Down syndrome. So it's just a fun restaurant. And they're actually making money. They're empowering themselves. I know it's a long shot, but it's something that can be done in Nigeria. If women have mentorship, mentors that are also telling them, oh, you can do this, you can do this with this, your ability, your limited ability. There should be jobs for them, there should be a transport system for them. But I think we need to also look at the reality. Everything comes down to policy implementation and also awareness. A lot of people are not aware in the community, in the society. How can we push that to them? I'm very big on inclusion, so I don't want to take all the time because if I start talking about this, we can spend the whole day on this. So I'll just leave it here. Thank you for this question. I hope that I was able to answer it properly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. That was a wonderful, insightful answer. And I'm also learning that I could be better with how I address or how I approach disabled people or from, and also seeing things from their point of view, right? Like recently I saw a tweet on Twitter and somebody mentioned how Zenith Bank, there was one bank rather, almost Nigerian banks don't have access for disabled people. And I think that was when I even realized that that was actually a problem. Just to see you point it out like this or lay it out like this is wonderful. And thank you so much for the work you do. That's totally, it's amazing. It's wonderful. Before we move on to the next question, can everybody see me? Are we here? Are we alive? How are we feeling? Give me emojis. How are we feeling this session? I want to see more emojis. I'll start calling names. Larry, Mr. Larry, Mr. Jibril. Thank you so much. I can see your reaction. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question, we'll switch things up a bit. We're moving to Chalia instead of Abiola. So hi, Chalia. Are you here with us? Say hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, so the question we have for you is, or rather the last question for the day for you is, can you share your knowledge?
Oh yeah.
So you now share your knowledge, mentor others in the industry from where you sit as a business owner and as a creative director. Why do you think women struggle to scale their businesses and step fully into entrepreneurship in Nigeria? And what is the one thing you wish someone had told you before you started and that you can now tell every young Nigerian woman that comes after you?
Well, I think the first thing is fear, doubt. A lot of people just doubt themselves and have this fear. Well, the most important thing is, I always say, is just start. Some people just feel like, oh, even if I start, I have this fear. It plays a very big role. And, sometimes we second guess ourselves and just feel like, oh, no, we can't do this. Or, how do I even start? Sometimes we even underprice ourselves. Okay, let me start and just underprice it. You're bringing values. Sometimes you're underpricing yourself, underpricing your services. You can offer well, but you're underpricing yourself and you then hesitate to take the bold steps that you have to. Sometimes you have to take that bold step, but that's bit. And then another major factor is lack of structure. Structure is very important. As a business owner, you have to have that structure. A lot of people start with passion. I started with passion. When I started with passion and I continued, passion is the driving force. But at a point, I'm like, you know what? I need to structure properly. So structuring is very important. Um, you have to build a system that works. A system that grows, a system that works, that goes beyond you. It's beyond who you are, but a system that works very well for you. And there's something I wish someone had told me earlier. Like treat your business from day one. Treat your business like
Hi, Charlie. Are you still here? I can't hear you. Okay.
I'm sorry, call.
You're
Sorry,
so
sorry, call.
good. Yeah. Welcome back. Okay. While we wait for Chalia. Hi, Chalia. Are you here? Okay. Hi, Chalia. We can't hear you anymore, but you can type the rest of your answer or your response
Oh,
in
can
the
you hear me
chat
now?
box.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Hello,
can
can
hear
you
you.
hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
so like I said, it's not just about the passion, structure, proper pricing, price your worth, like charge your worth rather, charge your worth, set clear boundaries, systems that work and all that, you know. Um, Start where you are, believe in yourself, don't trick yourself, and basically, I think that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
picked up something just now from what you just said about needing structure. So, as a young entrepreneurial minded person, even when you're doing your passion project or your passion business, as long as once it starts to pick up, you need structure and you need to find a system that works from you. I hope we're all learning here. Round of applause for Charlie. That was a very, very insightful response. Thank you so much for that answer. Chalia. Please, I hope we are noting down our questions. Oh, I hope we're all noting down our questions. I have a ton of questions written already. So, finally, for the final question of the night, we'll be going over to Abiola. Hi, Abiola. Are you still here with us?
Yes, yes, I'm with you.
Thank you. Thank you. The question we have for you is you have worked on World Bank and Islamic Development Bank funded projects. You've led fiscal investigations in Nigeria's oil and gas sector, and you've built institutional reform frameworks. And these are spaces where women remain significantly underrepresented, right? So in your direct experience, what are the specific factors, the systemic, cultural, behavioral factors that continue to limit women in corporate and professional settings in these spaces?
Okay, thank you. So I think, and I'll pull this from a conversation I had recently with a friend of mine. She works in policy and governance, and she recently got a top role. And we got chatting, and she mentioned that she'd had a couple of down days. And when I asked why, she mentioned it was because she felt like she wasn't good at her job, she wasn't competent, and she went on and on. And I asked her, I said, has your work so far affected your colleagues' perception of you or your seniors' perception of you? And she thought about it and said, no, actually. And it just confirmed something to me that for many women, there's this inner voice that tells us that we are not good enough. And that's a voice that we have to shut down ASAP. I kid you not. I've been in rooms with people, whose bios, were read, and I was just like, wow, wow, wow. Then we get talking, and I'm just very shocked, right? And many of these people are men. And it just reinforced I think there's this research that was done a while back, and the research was basically that men apply for jobs when they feel like they meet about 60% of the criteria, versus women who won't apply until they feel like they have everything, right? There's just this sense of audacity that men have that I think women can learn from. So, like, just first and foremost, that's a limitation behaviorally for us as women, saying, you know what, I can attain, this height in this corporate industry, and I'm ready to do what it takes to get there. And even if I don't feel fully prepared, chances I'm just being hard on myself. I'll still give it a shot. And the worst thing that can happen is I just, I feel like this one doesn't make me a failure. So just having that audacity is the first thing I would say. Then just externally speaking, some other factors that I think I've noticed is sometimes you're in meetings, and I'll be very practical. You're in meetings, you have something to contribute to the conversation, you say it, but then it doesn't really, land with the people you're speaking with until a man says it. And I noticed this not once, not twice, not thrice, in my own situation, to the point where now, if I'm to send certain emails to certain clients, especially in certain parts of Nigeria, I ask my male colleague to send it instead. Matter of fact, they call him doctor. They added a doctor to his name because for some strange reason, they think he's a lot more competent in certain regards. And so their perception of him is that way. But when I take the same tone with them, or I send authoritative mails in some instances, um, I get received as being too hard, so that's something as well. So that aspect of your tone being critiqued unfairly. Then maybe just one more thing I would say is I think that sometimes the kinds of roles that are, or maybe I'll say two things. One is the kinds of high visibility roles that exist are not always given to women. Sometimes you have to fight for it, right? Like I mentioned in one of my previous conversations, one of my previous answers rather, a lot of business decisions, high stake decisions are made over grilled fish. I'm telling you, over grilled fish and beer. And sometimes it's just with the guys and you're not there. They're not always made during, the formal meetings where, dotted lines are signed. They're usually made and then they're just laughing. And so you're not there. And then they give the job to someone else who, just so happens to be a man, and you feel sidelined, or maybe you're put in a supporting role, an assistant role, not really the high stakes role that involves, client facing engagements, or speaking with senior stakeholders. I've been in instances where I do a lot of the brain work, put together the research, the presentation, but then when it comes to actually presenting to the clients, I'm just right next to, a man that's making the presentation, and not to any fault of the man per se, but it's just because, culturally speaking, in certain cultures, your voice lands better if it's coming from a man. That's just the painful truth. I've done quite a bit of work with the north especially, so that's why my experience is swayed in this direction. So yeah, there's that. Then the last thing I was going to say is I think that again it still boils down to audacity, but then our leadership pipeline can be much better. I've gotten to review a number of CVs for the company I work at, and many a times the most competent people are the men. I kid you not. It's, let's say, like a 3 to 10 ratio. And it could be maybe because the men are better at packaging themselves, presenting themselves, or maybe they get more opportunities than the women who just need, someone to take a chance on them. So there's that aspect as well that I think that more opportunities can be created for women, designed for women, so that we can build that leadership pipeline and see women, more women represented in these key areas. I'll speak for oil and gas, for example. I did a lot of investigations into crude oil theft, and a lot of my work involved meeting with international oil companies, their directors, etc., etc. And many times I couldn't speak in those rooms because the person that would be respected was a man who, and I would be briefed, nicely by the side, just to say, okay, by the way, I'm the one that's going to present this and this and that, then we reconvene and do an internal briefing before we write our reports. So yeah, I think those are some things I would mention. I hope that helps anyone listening.
Thank you so much, Abiola. It does help. It's very helpful. But I've come out of that session with more questions. So you've mentioned these challenges. People are more trusting of men. people want to see a male face in front of decision making. And I'm just sitting here. I'm sure other people are curious as well, right? So also this question isn't just for Abiola. Abigail, Dr. Abigail, you can also you can also answer the question as well. I'm thinking, how do we address this? So apart from making leadership pipelines for women, let's say you're a woman in an organization, like you mentioned, you did research and then they gave it to a man to do the presentation. I would feel, cheated. That's unfair to me, right? So if you're in that type of situation consistently, what do you do? How do you address it?
Okay, I mean, it doesn't define me, it doesn't define my competence. So sincerely, those things don't get to me. Just imagine pouring water on a wall. That's how it feels like for me, because at the end of the day, it's a long-term shot, right? To change the mindset of millions and millions of people by just one conversation. I think that as women, we should consider being, and I'm not saying that we aren't, but then I think that being strategic would be a better way around this. What really changes things? Policy, and that's really my end goal, right? So realizing that having documents that institute certain things into law, that legislated, and then also policy implementation, ensuring that these policies aren't just written on paper but implemented as well. And I understand, just coming to terms with the reality of Nigeria, that you will probably go further when you have less enemies, right? And the people whose buy-in you need are men. So there is that aspect of collaboration and this doesn't mean you are shutting your voice down, but it just means that you are playing for a particular long-term goal, right? Knowing that if I do want to end up in places of influence where I can really make a real change, I'm going to need to partner with these men, and recognizing that, okay, to get a particular decision with a client, with a DG or a public sector, whatever, I might not be able to, use my voice to get him to say yes. But then my colleague who is a partner, who is a friend, can go ahead and present this. And what I want done, eventually does get done, etc. So I think those are some things. Second thing I would say, if just practically speaking for everyone on a random normal day, I think I would say be patient and also let your competence speak for you. It might take a longer time, but then competence really does break the ice, sincerely speaking. If you are good, you are good. That's just the honest truth. So I'll give you a practical example. While I was at a particular public parastatal, I worked in the office of the executive director, and it got to a point, by the way, the executive director was a northerner, way above 60. It got to a point, he noticed how brilliant I am. He called me into meetings and he would actively ask me as a junior staff then, what do you think about this? And these were meetings with group heads, across asset management and different things. And he would give me their report to review. And they knew that to get through to him, they would need my buy-in. And what got me into that position, it was competence, right? So yes, you would need to study harder. Sincerely speaking, you would need more certificates, but then when they see it, it gets to a point where they see you for what you are beyond just your gender. And of course, there will always be some people that don't. That's because this world is very interesting. But then for the opportunities that matter, prove yourself, do the hard work, and the ice will break.
That was a very powerful closing statement, Abiola. Wonderful. So you need to do the work, right? Opportunities will not just come. Even when they come, you still have to prove yourself. So women have to do twice the work that men do just to get in the rooms that men get into for free. That's tough to know, but also it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge, and we have to hack the system. We just have to hack the system. Thank you so much, Abiola. Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. Now going back to our listeners, we're hard pressed for time, so I'm going to be taking just two questions for our panelists and also for the house generally. So please, if you have any questions, unmute your mic and speak up, or rather raise your hand. So I'm seeing Noah. Noah's hands has been raised consistently. So Noah, please go ahead with your question. Keep it simple and short in 1 minute. Go on.
All right, thank you. My question is for Dr. Abigail. So quickly, you said something about wearing your audacity like a perfume. I mean, I understood that, but I'm just asking in general, this advice can be for a man, for a woman. How do you, how do you, how do you make sure that your audacity does not turn into like pride? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. How do you put that barrier there? Yes, you can be audacious, but how do you put that guy there that you don't make it sound like you are proud? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much for that question, Noah. Now, there's a very slim margin between being audacious and being proud. Now, as an audacious, be good at what you're doing. Yeah? Be very good at what you're doing. And let your audacity speak for himself. You know, there's some perfume that when you spray them, they will smell you before you enter. Yeah? That's what your work should be. Like what the other panelist said, Abiola said, let your work speak for yourself. That's audacity in your work. Then when you now have the audacity in your work, you now present yourself. You dress the part. You look the part. Always look like you are coming in. Do not speak too much. Don't be a show off. Don't let the work get into your head. Let's results. Let decisions speak for themselves. Do you know why? Because at the end of the day, when you're not in that room, the perfume still lingers. Your work will still speak for itself. Now, I'll give you an example here. 3 years ago, on this day, 2023, I got my PhD. And last month, I got a message from someone doing her PhD. And she said, Doctor, they have called us to come and take your work as a blueprint for our own thesis. I don't even know what they're working on. But I have left 3 years ago. But the work I did, the thesis I did, is still the blueprint that they are using in 2026. So this is what they call audacity, even when you have left. Your work speaks for itself. And as for men, I know we speak about women all the time, but I'm just going to chip in a little bit about men. It's not as easy as we think it is for men as well. It's more difficult for women, but it's not easy. I've seen what men do in the workplace as well. I've watched and I've observed closely. Men actually go through a lot because there are other men who even try to poison them. Like I'm talking of literal poison. So what you can do, just let your work speak, look good, ask questions when it's needed, answer when you need to answer, try to do your work well. Just don't be proud, but let your work speak for itself and just be confident. And this confidence I'm talking about, it's not just for public, just not for the office. Also build it privately. So people will know that, okay, your aura has arrived. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Did I
you.
get to answer your question?
I
Yes,
think
ma. Yes, ma. You did. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abigail. Miriam, your hand is raised. This is the final question for the night. You can go on. 1 minute, please. Oh, I think Miriam dropped off. Okay, KD Adekunle, you can take your question now. Okay, I'm going to be reading KD's question. It came in a while ago. So it says, are opportunities not tailored for the right fit? Even if a woman is competent, is it not biased? Is it not the biased mindset that is already rooted that obstructs women? What do you think is the right way forward, especially for male leaders with conservative mindsets and the idea of what they think is the proper look? So I think when she asked this question, Abiola was speaking about, the conservative mindsets of men and how people trust male faces, right? So what can we do? I'm going to shorten it down. What can we do to change the perception of the general public to trust women more, to see a woman's face and be able to trust in her decisions, like so? So I think I'll direct this question to Abiola or Abigail or Dr. Abigail, if you may.
Okay, so I always say this, right? A lot of the issues we have in our nation is they are values-based issues, right? If you want to change people's mindsets, to be honest, just go to the schools, go to the primary school, secondary schools, higher institutions. Sincerely speaking, I wouldn't go to try and change a 60-year-old's views about certain things, and just recognize that this kind of work is work that would benefit the next generation, not necessarily yours. Sincerely speaking, um that's one thing. And also another thing as well, like I said before, is make friends. You make enemies along the way, intentionally or not, but try and make as many friends as you can. I think that's what has been most effective for me, and that's what I usually try to advise people, especially in conservative environments as well. I think there was a particular meeting, for example, where it's a how would I put it, well, there are multiple stakeholders, right, in the project, and I was a project manager, and I was responsible for critiquing the quality of work for the implementation unit that was instituted by the funder, right, by the DFI. And so a lot of my work, unfortunately, involved escalating things to the project governance level, to the DFIs, to say these are some risks we've tried to mitigate at this level. However, the implementation unit is not responsive. And unfortunately, the implementation unit, I think there are about 13 of them, about 10 of them are men, right? And so because I had to escalate that situation based on the risk management protocols, I was labeled as a bad person. I had to be fine with it. And I had to call the man back and say, but doctor, we're family now. This is not nothing like that. So please forgive me. And just try to level the situation a bit and make it less heated. So just having strong relationship skills basically helps a whole lot. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so that helps a whole lot. Last thing I would say is just regarding the aspect of obstructing women. I know this might not apply in all instances, but a mindset I have, and it's something that I must give credit to my father, that my father instilled in me, is never see yourself as a victim, even if you you are in a society that tries so hard to push you down and whatnot. Never see yourself as a victim. So that helps me rise above whatever is thrown at me. I just see it as a challenge and nothing else, not as something that defines who I am or puts a ceiling over my life. Ultimately, they are not God. That's one thing. Yeah, I think that's what I would say to that. I don't know if any of the other speakers want to also add to that.
Thank you so much, Abiola. We're hard pressed for time, so that will be all for today. You have mentioned something very important, though. You said your challenges don't make you a victim. Sorry, your situation doesn't make you a victim. They're just challenges you need to overcome. And I think that's very important. And that's something I want us to take home. So no matter what it is you're going through, no matter the doors that have been closed to you, see them as something breakable, not something that's stuck there. See them as something you have to get through. Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. Thank you, Abiola, for gracing us with your presence today. Thank you to everybody for joining us for this really insightful and impactful session. Before we close, I want to, Dr. Abigail has her hands raised. Dr. Abigail, do you have a contribution, a question? Please come up.
Oh, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity again to serve. And I know that I see Christopher has put up our LinkedIn and Instagram handles. I know that you want to have like some question or one-on-one follow-up. So I would like to also inquire from other panelists if it's okay to just like send a message or follow up on some questions, and if other participants can still reach out to them after the workshop, the conversation.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please, absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you
All
so
right.
Thank you so much. Our panelists have said that if you have further questions or things you need clarity on, you can reach out to them on their social media. We have posted their social media handles and links in the chat box. Please take notes of them and please follow them on Instagram, LinkedIn, and is that Twitter, wherever you can. These are wonderful women that can offer guidance, whether you're a man or a woman. They're wonderful in their fields and they can offer you much needed mentorship and guidance. Before we close for today, I want one person to come up and tell me what they learned from this session. Just one person. I'll start calling names now. Chap chap. Noah, I can see your hand. Come up and tell us what you learned.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a couple of things, but to be honest, the most important thing I could take from this, I know they probably didn't use that word, but it's just be very confident, wherever you are, in the office space. Also, know how to maintain relationships. It's not just by being the smartest in the room or the person that stays till midnight. Maintain relationships perfectly and just be confident. You understand? As the doctor said, let your work speak for you. So I think for your work to speak for you, you have to be confident in what you are doing. So yeah, that's what I learned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noah. We're going to take one more. I want a woman to speak up. Noah has spoken twice. Women representation, come up. Temilorun, right? Hello, can you hear me? Your hand is
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What did you learn from today's session? What are you taking home with you?
Okay, I came in very late, so with the little that I've heard from both Miss Abigail and Miss Abiola, I will say that you should always see, you should not allow your problem or any problem that you face or that you come across to define who you are, but you should always see it as a challenge that needs a solution. So I
Thank you.
learned that, and also the audacity part. I've been hearing that word audacity on social media, but I still haven't like get how to like have that audacity. But from this teaching today, I learned that you should always have audacity, and it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of reading and studies. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jamila, for that contribution. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Before we go, we would love to hear your feedback. So my colleague will be posting the link to the feedback form in the chat box. So please tell us what you gained from the session over there, how you feel about it. You could also give us recommendations on how we could make this better. Also, the panelists can do that as well. Just tell us what you think, how impactful was it. Yeah, those are answer a few questions for us. Thank you. And finally, we here at Grow have built a tool for women, the Grow 2026 Personal Development Tracker. This will help you plan your career, plan your studies. If you're a student, plan your studies. If you're working in corporate, if you have a business, it'll help you plan basically your goals for the year. So you can look back at the beginning of the new year, at the end of the year, and say, I was able to achieve these, or I didn't achieve that. And then you can look at what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. This is goodbye from us at Grow. Well, before we go, actually, we will be uploading this session on YouTube. So in case there's something, so like Temilore said, she joined quite late. Don't worry about that. The entire session will be uploaded on the Grow YouTube channel. So you can just share with your friends, your family, your colleagues, because I can tell you this session was packed rather. So please share with your colleagues, your friends, your family. I will be sharing with my cousins, younger cousins, because they weren't able to join today. Right. Thank you so much, everybody. This is goodbye from us at Grow. See you guys next month with another impactful session. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much to Dr. Abigail and Abiola. Thank you for coming for sharing your insights and giving us or making this session very impactful. I really appreciate you. We at GRE appreciate you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.